Hi, my name is Cece and I'm here to give you a review of All About Reading pre-reading. I am not affiliated with All About Reading. They don't know I exist, but I love this curriculum, so I'd like to give people more information on what is actually in this curriculum and how this curriculum actually works. So I've used this with my 3-year-old. He's 3.5 now and he's begun reading. This book does, while he's done that, this curriculum doesn't teach your child how to read, but it gives your child the foundational skills that are necessary for reading. So a lot of the skills taught in this book, some children do learn on their own by a certain age, but many children do not. And phonological awareness is actually very important, which I found out as I was researching how to teach my child to read. So this curriculum, actually, I found out I really like curriculum that helps me know what to teach my child and not curriculum that just teaches my child. Because there's a lot of open and go curriculum that you can just pull out, like maybe teach your child to read in 100 easy lessons, and you can just pull that out and read the script and go. Where this curriculum teaches you how to teach your child, but it's also scripted at the same time. So you know what you know where you're going, I guess. You know where the ship is sailing to. So with that being said, let me dive a little bit more into this curriculum. So this is the teacher's guide, and I guess I'll tell you a little bit about everything that you have here. So let me dive in. So this is the teacher's manual. It comes with these 2 books, The Zigzag Zebra, A Rhyming Alphabet, and A Lizard Lou, a collection of rhymes old and new. So this is just rhymes, and these are alphabet rhymes. If you open this up, this is all in black and white. And it has a letter, so it'll have a letter right here, and it'll have a G for guppy, and not fish. So the pictures in this one are kind of a little, maybe not what you'd expect. Like if I saw a G, my child's going to see this and say fish, and I have to teach him what a guppy is. But it's helping expand his vocabulary, which I actually liked. I was kind of bothered by that at first, but then I grew to really like it because he started using these words in regular everyday life, and I thought that was pretty great. So they're just little poems that are pretty great. I like this, and these are just general poems that have something to do with the letter you're on. So in this curriculum, in the activity book, you go through each set of letters 3 times, or each set of letters. You go through the alphabet 3 times in the activity book. So I took the activity book apart. I just took it apart myself to use a paper cutter, and then I saved it. So based on the copyright that's in here, you are allowed to make copies for in-home use only. And so we did that because I have another child right behind my first, and he'll eventually go through this too. So this is the activity book, which a lot of people will use this maybe just like a coloring sheet. But what I really like about this activity book is that there were some crafts to go along with it. You might not like that, but a lot of people, I guess this is where the hangups come, is because it feels like you're going through just another letter, more letter art and stuff like that. But this curriculum is so much more than this component. So I'm going to show you this component, but then I'm going to back it up and show, like, this is basically supplemental. My child did come into this curriculum already knowing all of his letters and their first sounds. So this was very much a quick portion of the lesson time, but he enjoyed this so much that we just did all of it. So every day he'd get an activity sheet to go with our lesson, and this is just a flip through of what it is. Like, these are actual sticks from our yard. Lots of little fingerprint art. There was some glue and sand, and then watercolor, different glue things. This is some salt and paint exercise, and sometimes my son asked me to color portions of it while he colored other portions. So I went along with him and put some yarn on the inchworm scarves and decorate this hat with whatever you have around the house. There's buttons on this. And my son really had a good time doing this. And you'll see on the llama, he was able to put some yarn on there to make the llama have some fur. So my son found this pretty fun and interesting, and it's not necessary though, because he didn't learn like letter sounds out of this. He just had a good time playing with letters. And because of that, I plan to do this again with my other son if he's interested in this kind of things. But if he's not, if my next son is not interested in activity sheets or crafts like this, then I will still use the curriculum. I just will skip this part. And I think this is the part that most people think is the center of the curriculum. So if you can see here, like for instance, for the Y, he had a capital Y. So you go through all of the capital letters first, And then you go through all of the lowercase letters. And then you come back and you do the letter sounds. So let me show you the letter sound activity. So I did a little something different with the letter sound activity. And I put them in a sheet protector, and then I put Velcro dots on here, and then I laminated these little pieces, JDA style. If any of you did a toddler, did anyone else do a toddler learning folder from JDA? I did. So I had a lot of these Velcro dots left over, but basically you can look at these and decide, does this say G? And you have to pick the items that have that sound. Okay, we have goat and we have game or train. So some things I have to tell him, like we don't do board games really because he's 3. But I told him this was a game, and then he was able to figure out, okay, game starts with the G sound. So I'll put that there. And then he puts train here and it's left over. And so I would just have them all stored like this. And this made him able, this way, setting up this way allowed him to do this activity over and over again. This is meant to be cut and pasted, so your kid can just glue them onto that. But then it becomes one-time use for at least that child, unless you want to prep it over and over again, because you can make copies. So I did make copies, well, I didn't make copies of this one, but I made copies of everything else. And I made copies so that I could cut out these as game pieces. But I found this worked really well because my son can come back to it whenever he wants and do this activity. Even though he does know his letters sounds now, he still enjoys stuff like this. So at this age, repetition, right? So, or at this stage in development, repetition. So I highly recommend it for anybody. But now here is the meat of the curriculum. If you stayed with me this long, I probably should have said this at the beginning. The meat of the curriculum is in the teacher's manual. So the teacher's manual, oh, and let's not forget the all-important zigzag zebra. I'm going to embarrass myself and let you guys hear Ziggy's voice. Hello? Hi, do you want to do a reading lesson with me? Oh, I love reading lessons. Oh yeah, it's so fun to read with you. Sorry guys, my 3-year-old thinks that voice is hilarious, and so that's what we do whenever we do the all about reading, pre-reading reading lessons. That's the sound that Ziggy makes, and my 10-month-old thinks that is the best thing ever. He is not involved in these lessons. We usually do these during nap time, but he thinks it's the best thing ever, and he just wants to come and hug Ziggy, so he loves it. So let me get back. Sorry about that obnoxiousness. So Ziggy will, the bulk of this curriculum are in these activities you do, usually with Ziggy the zebra. So it helps your child learn how to do auditory things like blending and whatnot, and it doesn't require your kid to write anything down on paper or anything like that. So the instructions will tell you, take out Ziggy the zebra puppet and put it on. And the puppet's gonna say, I'm going to say a word in a funny way. You will try to guess the word. Here's the first one, little. Can you figure out the word? And then your kid should respond, little. And then there's several other 2-syllable words. Very good, let's do some more. Happy. And your kid says, happy. And then they do several 2-syllable words. And once they've mastered the 2-syllable words, the book tells you, after your child is successful, try the following 3-syllable words. However, if they're not ready for the 3-syllable words, come back to this activity another day. And I love that it kind of tells you that it's okay to pause and not just push forward through the whole lesson. And it also gives you tips. When saying the words, have Ziggy pause between the 2 syllables to make a clear distinction between them. So the 3-syllable words might say something like, ow, fa, bet. And then your kid says, alphabet. And so my kid would scream the responses, but he loved them. This also helps your child learn rhyming, and it introduces them to rhyming in a very gentle way. So Ziggy will say something like, I accidentally say the wrong words all the time. So Ziggy might say something like, let's read a look together. And my kid says, no, mommy, the word is book. And Ziggy says, oh, I'm so sorry. I said the wrong word. I say the wrong word so much. Okay, thank you so much for helping me. Okay. Well, can you help me turn the wages? No, Ziggy, it's the pages. And so they have this dialogue back and forth, my son and the puppet, and he absolutely loves it. We have finished this level, but Ziggy still comes out to teach my son all kinds of things. He loves to count with Ziggy. He loves to read to Ziggy. He loves to do all kinds of things. So I highly recommend the Zigzag Zebra Puppet. If you are looking into this curriculum and debating if Ziggy's actually necessary, I would say yes. And then this is the box full of the cards. And the cards are organized in this way. They tell you which lesson. They go straight in. And then you have your letter sound cards to go over the letter sounds in the final third of the curriculum. And so these are used to most frequently to play rhyming games. So your child might, there's a game called Get Out of the Wagon, which my son also loves. And the cards right here tell you lesson 2. So even if you don't have the review box, the cards kind of tell you exactly what to do. It's not so much like the level 1 of All About Reading, where the cards are kind of reused all the time. So if you pull them out for lesson 1, you'll still need them for lesson 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, etc. So this one is a fun game. I think the game for this is called Get Out of the Wagon. If it's not Get Out of the Wagon, it's something else similar. So they'll find, you might put something like king and ring and duck on the wagon cutout. And then your kid says, you make sure your kid understands what all of these represent. And then they take the one that doesn't rhyme and they yell, get out of the wagon, duck. And my kid lets her go, get out of the wagon, duck. And then he throws it. So he really enjoys this. He really enjoyed this curriculum. We kind of flew through it, but I made sure he mastered all of the actual skills that they were trying to teach him in this curriculum, which was very clear by the way the instruction manual was laid out. And he, about halfway through this book, he started trying to sound out words because he already knew his letter sounds. Whereas if your child doesn't know their letter sounds, they will teach them that at the end of the book and only the first sounds of letters. There are other curriculums out there that teach your child all of the letter sounds all at once, but this one only teaches one at a time. So, and then the traditional sounds are what they teach them, you know. A says ah, B says ba, etc. So, and there's an app that can go along with this in case you don't know what the actual phonetic sounds of the letters are. I find the app very helpful. At the beginning, I don't need it anymore because now I know all the sounds myself. But if you don't, I highly recommend the app from All About Reading, the free app that is just to sound out the letters for you. So that is my review. I highly recommend this curriculum. It was very easy to use, very fun and engaging for my kid, and I will definitely be using this for my next child. Thank you.